Michael, very disturbing news to hear that families are targeted and youngsters are taken for ransom, and you've had this recent case that has happened. Can you just tell us about this latest case where a 19-year-old and two friends were taken? Can we start there? What happened there?
So this would appear to be, well, it's Friday evening. They go to a koppie in Kensington in Johannesburg. They were going to discuss an upcoming holiday. They wanted to meet there. There's a nice view. It's a viewing area overlooking Johannesburg in the CBD. And they're approached by 5 men with knives and guns. And what initially was an armed robbery seemingly escalates when the robbers are not satisfied with the amount of money that they've gotten. I'm told by one of the victims that there's a bit of an argument between them, and then they decide, no, we need to get more money out of them. And that's when they decided to give their phone over to the victim and say, call your mother. So they made the decision to turn this into a kidnapping and ransom type crime from there. So this, in this particular case, was something that was one thing and escalated into another. But the question is, how often is this happening?
Yeah, we've seen so many other cases. I mean, you can tell us about what you're finding out. I mean, I remember just last year, the Western Cape had a lot of child abductions and attempted kidnappings. Yeah. We had, was it Miss Munsami was found somewhere in
after 6 months.
After 6 months being taken in Pinetown. Yeah. And these cases, like, they pop up now and again. So how prevalent as a crime are these abductions and kidnappings now in our country?
So let's speak about how the police would define kidnapping in general. It's a very broad category, and it can be kidnapping for extortion, kidnapping for ransom, kidnapping for human trafficking, kidnapping for drug trafficking. It could be a whole bunch of things. Ransom is one of those sub-brackets. But if we just look at kidnapping nationally, a decade ago, 2,492 cases, and that is, remember, reported.
Are these crime stats by the police?
These are crime stats from the police, official crime stats. So a decade ago, 2,492 kidnappings, and that's only what is reported, and it's believed that this itself could be an underreported crime. 10 years later, 2018, 2019, the latest stats that I got yesterday from the Institute for Security Studies that they gave via the police, 5,963. If you do the maths, and it took me quite some time to do that, 139% increase in the last decade. And Gauteng, unfortunately, leads the statistics with 2,109 reported cases in the 2018-2019 period. It works out to 6 kidnappings reported a day, followed by KwaZulu-Natal with 3 kidnappings a day, or 1,041 cases. It's frightening, especially random kidnappings. That is on the increase.
Now, that would suggest there are planned kidnappings as well. Random ones are those that happen, like the one you covered now about the 19-year-old and 2 friends last week on a koppie in Kensington.
So it would seem that there are, and this is corroborated by security experts, there are definitely 2 different types here. You get the opportunistic, almost amateurish type criminal who sees an opportunity, maybe sees the car somebody is driving or a flashy watch and thinks, okay, I can't get enough money out of their account, maybe I can push it, and I'm going to call parents. So they're going for youngsters, they're going for adolescents.
They just take a chance. It's an opportunistic
Then
thing.
there are those that it's highly organized syndicates that are going to case you from the time you get to OR Tambo, and we know so many cases like that where you are followed from the airport. They're looking at your social media posts, they're looking at what cars you drive, where you check in on Facebook, the holidays you go on, the cars, the brands. And then by the time you arrive at OR Tambo, it is a highly orchestrated and planned event to snatch you. And then in the case of Miss Munsami from Pinetown, that was 140 million rand ransom recorded there. Very different to the random kidnappings, up to 10,000 rand.
I mean, it's a parent's worst nightmare, among many others, to get that call to say, yeah, I've been taken, I'm a hostage, and you can hear threats on all sorts. The security experts you're speaking to, what do they advise that people should do? How do you manage the situation of kidnapping? I mean, I can't really even begin to imagine what I would do in a similar situation.
So there are a couple of tips which have been given, which is really to arm parents with this information, because unfortunately it's almost become a crime you cannot avoid, because it is by its very nature random. So the best things to do is have a good communication channel open with your kids. Cell phones, they are our greatest liabilities these days, but they can also be our biggest assets. So make use of apps. Make use of record conversations. Use apps that can record conversations on your cell phone. Make sure that your cell phone is linked to Find My iPhone or iCloud so that it can be found.
So use technology as much as you can. And very briefly, in your package, which I know we'll play a little bit later, I've heard it this morning on eNCA, there's a voice recording in this particular incident, but the guys are demanding more. But the e-wallet that he's paying through is got a limit. Banks don't allow e-wallet beyond a certain amount of money, and these guys keep on using a different number to get. So is there advice from people that you must pay if there's a ransom thing to save your child? I mean, that's the inclination to say, no, let me just pay this and get my child back.
Bradan, who wouldn't pay to get their child back? And especially because the amounts are manageable, almost reasonable, almost insulting to get your child back. In this particular case study from Friday, 8,000 Rand. But you will pay it. It's a quick in, a quick out, and it's almost untraceable. And
those are the opportunistic ones. It will be interesting to see what police advise us. We're trying to get hold of police, but we understand this morning they are busy at some drug bus announcement, which we hope to carry as well. Our colleague Zukona Chona is there. Michael Appel, thank you very much.